we need to talk about the Behringer TM300 tube amp modeler. This is the cheapest tube amp modeling device designed to replace your tube amp for use on silent stages, available on Sweetwater at the time of filming, which is July 31st, 2020. You normally say July. It's July. You're in the South and you say July, I guess that's fine. What's funny is in Creedence Clearwater Revival's song Born on the Bayou, he pronounces it July. He's singing about the bayou, and yet he's from California. Riddle me that. Anyway, he was just, selling out, trying to get those sweet radio plays. So then I was browsing Sweetwater, and I saw this little gem for only $25. That's right. That is a lot cheaper than $400. That is, that's 16 times. You could buy 16 of these instead of an ACS1 or an Iridium. That's quite the price difference. Now, let's cover some of the stuff on here. It's made by Behringer, and it's from their really cheap line. These are some of the cheapest pedals that you can buy. These are the cheapest pedals that you can buy on Sweetwater, and they're some of the cheapest pedals in the world. They're made in China. They're all plastic. And they feel like it. It doesn't feel very quality. The knobs, normally on most pedals, you can grab the side of the knob and then just move it. But these are really hard to, and they feel really wobbly because they're only attached to the circuit board and not to the case. There are 3 toggle switches on here, which are also kind of wobbly. This pedal can be powered by either a 9-volt barrel jack, just like most other pedals right there on the side, or also through a battery compartment underneath the foot switch. There are a 1/4-inch input. There is a 1/4-inch input jack and a 1/4-inch output jack as well. No jacks on the top. They could have fit all of them on the top, but they didn't. That's okay. And there are 4 knobs. We have level, drive, low, and high, which do exactly what you expect. And then we have 3 switches. We have mic, we have mod, and we have amp. And so the mic you can select between classic, center, and off X, or off axis. So that's saying where is the mic on the cabinet, right? Is it on axis? Is it off axis? Is it classic? I don't know what classic means, but it has a sound, and I'll demonstrate that. There's the mod switch, which lets you provide a modification to your amp model. So there's clean, high G, and hot. I'm assuming, weirdly, high G is not and hot are swapped. So hot is the highest gain, and high G is the... You could have just said gain or OD, but whatever. It's fine. Everything's fine. And then there's amp, and you can go between Tweed, Brit, and Caliph. Caliph is of course short for Caliph-U. Brit is short for Brith-U, and Tweed is short for Tweedithy. Tweed is, of course, referring to the tweed-covered amps that Fender made between the 1940s and the end of the 1950s. Brit is referring to some type of Marshall higher gain amplifier. I'm assuming JCM 800 or JCM 900 or JVM, something in that area. And Caliph is referring to the California-made Mesa Boogie amps, namely things like the Mark series or the rectifiers. At least that's what it sounds like to me. I'll let you be the judge, and let's listen to the sounds, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay, so after my first impressions of unboxing this pedal and listening to it, it does accomplish its goal. It does model amps. There is modeling. They do have some resemblance of the amps they're modeling. I don't really play Mesa Boogies or JCM 800s or Marshalls in general, so I couldn't really tell you how accurate they are. I don't really play Tweed amps very often, so again, couldn't really tell you how accurate these are. But I have heard, lots of videos of said amplifiers. Call me the armchair guitarist. So how good is it? The tweed sound does work for cleans. If you set it to the clean setting and have the drive below, like, oh, I don't know, it doesn't really break up until you get to like noon to 3, somewhere in there. It starts breaking up depending on the guitar. So you could use that as a clean tone. It's got kind of an interesting sound, though. It's very kind of scooped sounding, but also kind of dark, but also crispy. There's a bit of fizziness to this pedal that I don't like. Again, you could fix that with a low pass filter, applying a low pass filter to the pedal, to the signal in post, or your audio engineer can do it at front of house if they have a good enough mixer. But it's a rather fizzy sounding pedal. That's my biggest complaint, is it's not smooth enough. But then some modelers also suffer from being too smooth. For instance, my ACS1 doesn't get it almost is too smooth most of the time, and it's a little bit more mid-forward than I would like. Sometimes I want a little more bass and a little more, like, sizzle going on, but unless I have the right IR loaded, it doesn't really do that. Some impulse responses shave off a lot of top end. Can shave off a lot of top end, depending on the impulse response. The mic position is rather confusing. Classic sounds really mid-forward and sounds kind of what you would expect an amp mic'd up to sound like. But then center and off X are much more scooped. The bass and the treble and the fizziness is wildly exaggerated. Off X basically is like a slightly darker version of center, which is weird because when you put a microphone in the center of a speaker cone, it usually just is all top end and not very much low end. So I'm confused as to why there's so much more low end in the center position than there is in the classic one, but whatever. The mod switch is nice to have. I wish it was more extreme, though. In the tweed amp, even in the hot mode, it's not that crazy. But then in the Brit or the Caliph mode, the clean mode isn't really that clean. You basically have to have the drive off in those modes for it to do anything, which is really a shame because boogie amps are known for having good clean tones on their clean channel. Yeah, on the dirty channel, the cleans suck. But on the clean channel, their cleans are great. They're supposed to be Fender cleans and heavy American distortion when you're not on those. The controls do stuff, for sure. The low and the high are very, very powerful. You can really scoop out this pedal by cranking up the low and the high, and you can really push the mids if you back both of them off. So should you buy this? It kind of depends on what type of music you like to play. If you like to play like 80s hair metal, 80s metal, 90s grunge, early 2000s Creed stuff, this pedal could work pretty well. Or maybe you like to do a little blues with the tweed style stuff. I think this pedal could work. I think in a pinch, it works great. I think it does what it says on the box. I think it's a little too fizzy in the top end. I think the top end is rather unpleasant sometimes. It's better than just running a distortion pedal into your audio interface, though. It works, but it's $25. Like, what can you expect? I mean, it really does what it says it is supposed to do, and it was talking about, having a lot of gain, a lot of distortion in the manual, and it has that for sure. So I don't know. You got to try it. It's an experience. And the best part is it's only $25. So even if you can't sell this for anything close to its original sell value, you didn't spend that much money on it. So I don't know. But then again, should we really be buying a bunch of plastic stuff only to throw it out in the trash in 10 years? No, I don't think so either. I think if you're in a pinch, this could be great to have. I think it's a great backup pedal. So if you have an ACS1, an Iridium, a Helix, a Kemper, although if you have a whole Helix and the Helix goes down, you're screwed because then you have no effects. But if you have some type of amp, tube amp, solid state amp, or amp modeler pedal, this could be a good backup. It could be something nice to have just in a pinch. And you're like, shoot, my amp modeler pedal broke or got lost or broken or stolen or whatever. You can put it on the tweed setting and it'll do a fine sound. When I initially saw this pedal online, I thought the Brit mode was going to be a Vox, and I didn't read the description very well. And then I got home and quickly realized that it very much was not a Vox sound, which was a bit disappointing. I knew the Caliph would be heavy gain, though, that's for sure. It was screaming Mesa Boogie. Build quality on this pedal is worth $25. There was something stuck in the paint underneath the high on the high frequency control knob. I'll put some B-roll or something. And, you know, I guess it's reasonably well assembled and didn't have any like cracks. Well, now it has a crack. I cracked, gosh dang it. I cracked or scratched part of the foot switch. You know, I can say that the screws weren't loose. The date code sticker is missing, which I think is kind of funny. They have like a spot for it on the rubber pad on the bottom, but it's not there. It didn't come with a 9-volt battery, which is a shame. You know, Behringer, what are you doing? The switches are very wobbly. Yeah, you won't be able to see that. But yeah, they're very, very wobbly and wiggly. I don't have good feelings about this pedal lasting a long time. It feels much cheaper than that Dan Electro pedal I reviewed, that Fab Overdrive pedal, because at least that one had a metal bottom and the switch felt pretty secure. The knobs felt pretty secure. This feels way worse than that, but I think the price point is quite different too. I think the Dan Electro pedals were retailing for somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 to $50, whereas this is $25. And it's $25 in 2022, and those Dan Electro pedals were retailing for like $50 to $30 in like 2000. So go figure. To sum up, I think this is a pedal worth considering as a backup, or if you're a beginner and you don't have $400 to spend on a tube amp modeler and you need something, you need a silent stage solution now. This could work. Is it the best choice to buy? Absolutely not. If money is no object, this is the worst tube amp modeler I have ever heard. But if $25 all you have, go for it. But I would probably recommend saving up your money a little bit longer. Buy the 2 Notes Torpedo Cab M. Yes, it's harder to operate, of course, but you could probably find one used for somewhere between 200, maybe 150 at the very low end, or 200, or get the Moore, like, what was that thing? The Moore Radar or the TC Electronics IR Loader or something. Get something like that, and then maybe get a nice preampy sounding drive pedal, and I think that will help you go a longer ways towards getting a better sounding amp modeled sound. I've been Zachariah Connor. You've been watching my review of the Behringer TM300 tube amp modeler. Benson over here has been a good boy, being very quiet during my filming of this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, and go out there and make some nasty, nasty noise.